Alright, hey everybody, welcome back for another Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 video. I'm Matt, and today we're back on the Pilot Edge network. We are located at Corona Municipal Airport. We are sitting here on the ramp, and we're going to be flying the Cabri G2 today, which this is the HCG version of the aircraft. Which is the version that allows us to use the G3X touch while we're flying. So I've been using that more than the Asobo version. The flight model is just about equivalent, but the fact that I can use the G3X is the reason why I typically choose this aircraft. Not to mention the GTN 750 is a nice touch as well. So the plan for today is to do some patterns here at Corona Municipal, and then we will head out and do a full stop landing at John Wayne. So we'll do some patterns here, and then we'll call up approach and do a full approach into John Wayne on the Pilot Edge network. So with that said, let's tune up approach for effect, just to have some stuff going on in the background. Alright, and we'll get flying. So some of the other things that I set up between the last time I flew and put out a video is scenes in Pilot Edge. So I'll be sharing some of those as well. We got an instrument view here. We got my flight sim view, so you can see what I see. We have a chart view so that we can get a zoomed in view of the map. And then we have a controls view, which I'm excited about, so that you can see what we're doing on the controls while we're flying around. So that said, I'm looking at the engine temperatures and pressures. They're in the green. Throttle is at 100% in the green, and we are good to take off here. So we're coming up to a 3 to 5 foot hover. And actually, before we take off, I'll just show off that, let's see, for assistance options, I'm really flying the helicopter. I've shared in the past that I am a former helicopter pilot, so let's see if I can not make a fool of myself here on the simulator. Coming up to 3 to 5 feet. And we're pulling about 46%, which is normal for this aircraft. So we're coming forward. Look to the left and right, and we got nobody else on the taxiway other than these cars that should be getting the heck out of the way. And we'll keep our nose pointing down the yellow line here, and we'll try to hover down the yellow line. And just for some warm-up, we'll do a brisk walk pace hover down the center line. So I shared in past videos that I thought the flight model for this helicopter was pretty on point. And I also shared that I had been communicating with the developer while I was test flying this aircraft, and I had some things that I was hoping he might be able to fix, and I reached out, and he had them fixed in 2 days. So I appreciate all his efforts for that. There was little things like the altimeter in the G3X not working right, and then the big thing was the electronic engine monitor here wasn't able to be popped out onto the touch display. So he implemented that pop-out feature so that now we could fly this aircraft with our touchscreen instrument panel. All right. Keep the drills going. We're going to take the nose to the left, and we're going to slide down the runway to the right. Once again, we're looking for a brisk walk pace, not too fast. So clearly that was not the best precision there. And these are kind of drills that we used to do. Whoa. back in the day, back when I was flying, and they're drills to help improve your control touch. All right, we'll get ourselves all calmed down, back on the center line again, 5 feet. All right, and now we'll do the same thing to this side. Get ourselves settled down back facing the opposite direction, and we'll do some drills head back the opposite direction. Pedal turn. Let's see if we can get ourselves settled out again here on the center line. Alright, once again, 3 to 5 foot hover down the center line. Another drill we can do is follow the center line, and we want to keep our nose pointed down the runway. We want to keep our forward motion, but we want to move diagonally over to this side of the runway. Once again, we still want to maintain that brisk walk pace. Nose pointed down the center line, and we want to slide to the right side of the runway. Doing this while we're trying to maintain about 5 to 10 feet. Trying to maintain that brisk walk pace. And we'll go back to the center line. Keeping that nose pointed directly down the runway. And follow the center line. Back to the left side. Back to the center. Then we're going to do a quick acceleration, and then we're going to do a deceleration at the end of the runway. So we're going to stop at a 10-foot hover on the numbers. So we're going to pick up some altitude so that we don't hit our tail, drop the cyclic, and pitch, and pull in some collective to try to slow ourselves back. And we're looking to maintain about 5 to 10 feet here, and we should be, if we did it right, should be over the numbers. So let's turn around. We'll see where we ended up. Not quite on the numbers. All right. So once again, we'll head back down to the opposite end of the runway. This time we're going to try that again, but we're going to hockey stop. Hockey stop is if you want to stop quickly, but you know you're going to have to pitch so nose up that you're going to lose sight of your landing area. So you turn sideways. All right. So you can maintain sight of it. Let's see how we did here. Woo! Nope. So we were able to get ourselves stop over the numbers, but not so gently. All right, another drill that I shared in one of my last videos is we do circles, keeping our nose pointed at the 7. And I'm out of right pedal. So I think we had shared in the past that so if I lower the collective, the nose comes back around, but that's our side that's tail authority limited. This side has more tail authority. We're all over the place. All right, let's get ourselves settled back down. Woo. Settle down. Back ourselves up. All right, nose pointing at the 7. We want to maintain about 20 feet here, little altitude. so that if we mess up a little bit, we're not going to kill ourselves. Trying to keep our nose pointed at the 7. Alright, now we'll bring it in and we'll come back to a hover over the 7. Gonna slide ourselves into it. Alright, we're going to do a max performance takeoff. So from a hover here, we're going to climb straight up. We're going to be pulling 100% torque. We don't want to move forward, aft, or left or right. We just want to move straight up. When we hit 100 feet, we're going to nose forward to accelerate. Ready? Power's coming in. We want to move straight up. Maintain that nose pointed down the center line. We're well above 100 feet there. Nose forward to accelerate. And then power's coming in. I'm going to come off to the right. And we're going to shoot kind of a J approach straight into the numbers there. So collective's coming out, we get our descent coming, we start bringing the nose around, and we start circling our way over to the numbers. Little collective coming in, start slowing ourselves back. More collective, keeping the nose coming around, more collective, more collective. Wasn't exactly constant angle, but here we are at the numbers. Alright, we'll get a level accelerating takeoff going, so drop the nose, we just accelerate down the runway. Pull some more power to really speed up, nose forward, and at the end we're going to cyclic climb. So we're going to cyclic climb. Then at the top, we're going to do full right pedal. We drop our nose around, pull back on the cyclic. So that's what we call a return to target. Now that one wasn't too pretty. But let's say we were an attack helicopter with a gun out the nose. And we were trying to point the gun at whatever our target is. So you do your pass here, shooting at the target, we'll call it the numbers, and then you climb out of it, you pedal your way around. The goal is to get the nose pointed right back at the numbers as quickly as possible. Terrible aim because I'm not very good at the maneuver. Now if we try to do it with the left pedal, that's actually our, I think that's our side with more authority. Up, 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 up. So we probably should continue doing it down that side. We just had somebody coming in on approach. Let's see if we can attack them. Where'd they go? Could have sworn I saw somebody coming in on the approach. Where'd they go? Wonder if they called off the landing because they saw. Oh, there they are. Let's go screw with them. What are you doing? This is not exactly flying neighborly. assuming that's somebody on the Pilot Edge network. Although, from the way it's bouncing around, it's probably a AI airplane. All right, let's get out of here. We'll just do a regular pattern. Ourselves trimmed out. So this is the other thing I was working hard to get set up, is all these special views. Alright, we'll get ourselves settled back down on the approach. So we're at 1,000 feet. 70 knots, so we want to start bringing the speed back. Taking the collective out. Now we're still coming fast. We got to continue to pitch up, continue to take the collective out. Now at the end, right when we get slow, we predict we're about to fall through because we go back down through effective translational lift. So our rotor blades become way less efficient again, so we got to pull in a whole bunch of collective to stop ourselves from falling through. All right, let's do another takeoff. Oh, another thing I figured out perusing the forums, a comment that somebody else left. So it was just an Asobo G2 forum. People were asking what they thought about the Asobo G2. And I had made a comment that I really wish Asobo would implement force trim. So right now we have the trim beeper so that we can hit the beeper forward, backwards, left, and right to trim the aircraft. But like in a Blackhawk helicopter, you have just one button if you want. So you have the beeper as well, but you also have one button that if you want to, you can just press that button and the aircraft will automatically trim immediately to wherever you're holding the cyclic. So you press the button, you let go, and then you don't have to hold down the beeper or wait for it to catch up. It just immediately trims to where you're holding the cyclic, and then you let go of the button and it holds the cyclic there. So that makes flying a helicopter a lot easier because you're not focused on, okay, I'm trimming it, and you're waiting for the trim to catch up, and you can just press the button and be done with it. So I had left a comment saying I really wish Asobo would implement that in the G2. And then somebody else left a response saying that they were reading through the G2 operator's handbook and found that there's no mention of force trim, and it mentions the two trim beepers, one on each cyclic on the pilot and the co-pilot side, but no mention of the beeper. So after reading that comment, I went and took a look for myself. Let's see, where's our runway? Here it is. And let's see, we're looking for 700 feet and 70 knots right now. What are we at? We're at 1,000, although we're at 500 above terrain altitude because the terrain's at 500. So I went and looked at the operator's handbook myself and saw the same thing. So no mention of force trim. So apparently in real life there is no force trim in this aircraft. So apparently Asobo and then HCG, when they did their version, they both modeled the trim appropriately in this aircraft. So I guess I can't complain. As much as I like having force trim in a helicopter, I think I'm spoiled from my days of flying $20 million Blackhawk helicopters. I think a Cabri G2 goes for like 300,000 or somewhere in that ballpark. So apparently for that price tag, you can't get force trim. All right, looking to hold our hover here. All right, I think that's good. So we said, actually, let's put it down and set ourselves off to the grass so we're out of the way. We'll turn so that we're watching the runway just so that we can see anybody coming in and landing. We want to get ourselves set up to go back to John Wayne. So I'm going to drop a direct 2 there. So we know we're going to want to fly a 214 heading. Let's see. So we can tune in a heading of, let's go this way, 214. So that we can generally follow the heading bug. It's close enough for now. Alright, we'll put it right on 214. And then we're gonna want to get ATIS up in the radio, even though. So what I don't know. Let's see. So we're at Corona Municipal now. We should make a call before we leave. So 1227. We'll start playing for realsies now. Oops. 1227. Then we can also tune in approach on 1340. 340. But as soon as we take off, so we can be monitoring approach, but we're going to want to get John Wayne's ATIS on 126 or 126.0. I'm looking at the map here, so we can stay under. So we got 3,500 feet shelf here. So if we start making our way in this way, I think that'll set ourselves up so we can fly in at about 3,000 feet. And then before we enter here, we have to be talking to them. And in the simulator right now, we have custom weather. So what I don't know on Pilot Edge is if you're using custom weather, if that means you don't actually hear the ATIS. Because what I'm noticing is whenever I tune up ATIS frequencies, I'm not hearing any ATIS. So yeah, all I can think of is when you're using custom weather. So when I booked my flight plan, I told it I was using custom weather. So all I can think is maybe you don't hear the ATIS over the radio, either that or I have something glitching on me or I have something set up wrong. But I can hear the controllers just fine. I don't know why I can't hear the ATIS. This is the second time that's happened to me, so I don't know what's going on. But we'll figure that out another time. So I'll clear all my drawings. We'll go back to pen. Alright, so we are on 1227, that's Corona Municipal, and we're going to be taking off from, let's see, we're going to be moving to the west, so 25. Corona Municipal traffic, helicopter 935, Whiskey Tango, taking off 25, will be a south departure, Corona. All right, coming up. We're green. We should trim out the aircraft. Green across the board on T's and P's. Engines at 100%. Actually, you know what? Before we head back, we'll do one more auto rotation. Take the runway. We'll do an auto rotation here, and then we'll head back. We'll just do one. Haven't done one in a few days, so it's very possible I'm rusty. Another thing I was reading in the pilot operating handbook is that apparently auto rotations in this aircraft are supposed to be done at about 50 to 60 knots. The POH says 50 knots, but a lot of pilots choose 60 because people have a habit of getting slow in the auto rotation, so if you do 60, you're never going to get slow. But I tried doing some of those in the sim like that, and what I'm finding is there's not enough airspeed to arrest the rate of descent. So I think that's a simulatorism with the flight model of both the Asobo and the HCG version. Is if you try to do an auto at 50 to 60 knots, there's just not enough forward airspeed to arrest the rate of descent. So the last couple videos I put out, I was doing autos at like 100 knots, so I'm going to continue doing, or somewhere around 80 to 90 knots, I guess. So I'm going to continue doing the same thing. We're looking for 1,500 feet here to enter the auto, and we want to be at about 100 knots. So there's our 1,005, except we're slow. So I'm going to pull in some more power. All right, and we'll enter it here. So throttle's going up. So governor's coming off, idle, and then collective full down. We're shooting for 100 knots. Clearly not going to make the numbers. So, yeah, about 80 knots should be good for the rate of descent. Rotor speed's a little fast, so I'm going to pull in some collective to slow that down. We want to maintain that 80 knots. Now I'm going to start the flare. Start pulling some collective. Once again, like we usually do in the simulator, we balloon up, which is not realistic. But then I ran out of collective at the bottom. Alright, well that one was atrocious. Let's do one more. Governor's coming back on. Throttle's back up to idle. Looking at temperatures and pressures in the green across the board. Governor's on. We're making sure that the throttle and rotor come back to 100%. They did. So we're good to take off. So we're coming up. 5-foot hover. Nose is coming forward, and we'll do a standard takeoff. Autos in the sim are just too much fun, so I can't do a video without doing a couple autos. Screwing around with the views, trying to figure out the best way to see it. Alright, did we lose our runway sufficiently? That's not going to help. Let's see, runway, where are we at? There's the runway. We're at 1,000, we're at 2,000 feet, and we are slow. Governor's going to come off. Taking head tracking off. Governor's off. Throttle's coming to idle. Collective's going to idle. We're pitching for airspeed. I'm going to reset the trim there. We want to make sure the aircraft is in trim, so I need a bunch of left pedal to step on the ball and get the ball centered up. Our rotor is way fast, so I'm going to pull in collective to slow down the rotor. There we go. Rudder's back in the green now. Still want to get the ball in the center. Looking for 80 knots. Aircraft in trim. We got the runway made. We're going to start the flare. Start pulling in some cyclic to up that rate of descent, and we cushion right at the bottom. Oh, right there. I'll say that one was good enough. Governor's coming back on. Throttle's coming back up to idle. Looking at engine pressures and temperatures across the board. Oil temperatures coming back up. We're in the green across the board. Governor's on. Rotor and engine are at 100%. Oh, what happened to my radio? 1227. I don't know what happened there. And then 1340. I'm not hearing anybody on approach. 1340. Are we connected to Pilot Edge? Yeah, we're connected. Alright, coming up. We'll make a call. Corner Municipal, Helicopter 935, Whiskey Tango, taking off, 25, south departure, Corona. Coming up. Normal takeoff. Collective's coming in, nose coming forward. Keep the pedals pointed. Nose down the runway. And then we're a helicopter and there's nobody parked on the ramp, so I guess we can start our turn early. So we want a 214 heading. Pull up our map. So we're moving in about this general direction. We'll hold that 214. Now, do we have to climb over some mountains to get back? Now we'll fly through this valley. Ah, we'll go play in the mountains. And when we're a couple miles clear of Corona, we'll switch over to SoCal approach. Keep the power in, because we got to get a good climb going to get up over these mountains. Oh, the other thing that I implemented, like I said, I was working hard on a bunch of new features for my sim. The other thing I implemented was, if you notice, there's no lag on my moving map anymore. Before it was getting like 30 seconds to sometimes like up to 2 to 3 minutes behind. And of course, if I'm trying to show you something on the map and the map is 3 minutes behind, that's not super helpful. I don't know what's going on with the terrain here, but it's looking a little beat up. So, these mountains are tall. We got just about 100% power in there, and due to temperature outside and pressure and elevation that we're at, altitude, you can see our engine's only giving us 64% max. So we're going to have to manage that as we fly into this valley here. Generally, you want to be careful when you're flying into a valley and you're power limited, because you don't want to be heading directly for a mountain and end up getting yourself trapped. So we can start slowing ourselves back. Other thing you want to worry about in here is mountain turbulence. And being in a helicopter, we might not even have power to hover out of ground effect. So we got to be really careful about getting too slow. See, I'm already starting to feel like we're trapping ourselves here. So I'm going to keep the turn going and start heading away from the terrain, because if we kept moving towards it, we might get ourselves trapped in it. So right there, slowing ourselves back, that helped to get a better rate of climb going. We'll just do one circle around and see if we're looking any better. Yeah, so if we were doing this in real life, we probably would not be able to get this close to the mountains, because we'd be getting our butt kicked by mountain turbulence. Unless, of course, the wind was coming from this side, in which case we might have an updraft to help push us up and over the mountain. But knowing that winds typically come from the west, there's a good chance we would have a downdraft on this side, which would be pushing us down into the mountain, which would not be good. Alright, so now that we're up and over, we can do a little bit of terrain flight. Some low-level flying. We used to do this up in the Vermont Guard. We had a, in the Blackhawks, we had a dedicated terrain flight area where you could go and practice your low-level flying. Because in a tactical aircraft like a Blackhawk, sometimes there's a need to do terrain level flying so you can use the terrain to mask the radar signature of the aircraft to avoid stuff like missiles. Now what's fun is when you get into a valley like this, you dump the collective. You can't dive into the valley because you'll overspeed your rotor, but you can turn sideways like that. So you're essentially turning your lift vector sideways, so you got less lift coming from the rotor blades, and that allows you to essentially dive even though you're not diving with your nose straight down. So looks like that's how we could dive into this terrain. Don't want to get too slow because we still don't know. What are we at for elevation? We're at 2,500 feet. So we should have hover power up here, but we won't chance it. What are we at? So we just need to stay below 3,500 feet. All right. So at this point, we can start heading back. All right, we'll have a little more fun. We should start heading our way back to the airport. We should get the ATIS. We can tune up approach at this point. Oh, nice. Drop that collective. Dive into the valley. Wires. Whenever you get wires, you want to cross over the tower itself, over the pole, because wires are difficult to see when you're flying, and when you're at terrain altitudes like this, you want to cross over the top of the pole because you know there's no wires dangling down if you're directly over the top of the pole. All right, we want to maintain that. Right now it says a 225 heading will bring us back home. So we'll do a 225 heading. It's close enough. Let's see. We want to maintain that 2,000 feet. We don't want to climb above 35 because that's the Class C. And we want to get ATIS up. ATIS is 1260. Not hearing any ATIS. Careful with that climb. Just about all the way out of forward stick. So we got 126 in there. I'm not hearing anything. Let's tune up approach. Approach on 134.0. Let's see. Let's try 135.4. 135.4. There we go. paper to write down the instructions they give us. So we're 9 to the northeast. Get it trimmed out so when they give us instructions we can write it down. We're 9 to the northeast and we are at, I guess we're at 1,000 now that we're diving down. Alright, I'm gonna start coming left so that we're not busting ourselves in there. SoCal approach, helicopter, or SoCal approach, helicopter 935 Whiskey Tango, VFR.
935 Whiskey Tango, SoCal approach.
935 Whiskey Tango is approximately 7 to the east of John Wayne. We'd like to make an approach full stop into John Wayne. We got information Zulu.
Whiskey Tango, squawk 5722 ident.
5722 ident. Are we heading towards an airport? I see one. That's weird.
LA Center TVN 7 X-ray request level.
57. Come on. What airport is that? 57.
Who was looking for lower?
TVN 7 X-ray.
TVN 7 X-ray, I think you may have, I think we lost you on radar there. Where are you located now?
TVN 7 X-ray, we just crossed over Palmdale.
Okay, Earth 7 X-ray, do me a favor, disconnect or reconnect, let me know when you're back up.
Roger.
35 Whiskey Tango, your radar contact 6 miles east of John Wayne Airport, John Wayne altimeter 3024. Confirm you do have John Wayne Airport in sight.
Have the airport in sight, 3024 on the altimeter.
Letter 35 Whiskey Tango, roger, contact John Wayne Tower 119.9er.
John Wayne Tower 119er, thank you. 199. Come on, what's going on? 119.
37 X-ray, roger, IDEP. Your 7 X-ray radar contact 14 miles northwest of Palmdale VOR. Should maintain flight level 240 contact Los Angeles Center 125.27.
John Wayne Tower, helicopter 935, Whiskey Tango, 1006.
7 X-ray, Los Angeles Center, Palmdale, altimeter 3035, should maintain 14,000. Road 935, Whiskey Tango, John Wayne Tower. Are you looking for a runway or are you inbound to the ramp?
The ramp would be fine.
Sir 5 Whiskey Tango, proceed toward UCI, report over UCI and expect landing midfield east ramp.
Unfamiliar with ECI, I'll expect the east ramp. Can you give me a vector?
Sir 5 Whiskey Tango, UCI, the college, just pretty much just east of El Toro here. If you pull up the SoCal tack chart, a Los Angeles tack chart, you'll be able to see it just to the southeast of John Wayne.
Roger that. We'll go. Tack chart. Tack chart. Just east of John Wayne. Wow, she's killing me here. UCI. That's funny. Thinking on the fly there, huh? So UCI is right here. So we'll proceed direct to UCI. I guess we can quit dilly-dallying here. 297-ish, so.
CGALT, taxi to Park and Bravo, have a great night.
Taxi via parking via Bravo Charlie Golf Alpha Lima Tango, and good night to you too.
Expecting the east ramp.
St. Louis ground, Cessna 4963 golf, over at Sun West Information Sierra, request taxi for a south departure.
4963 golf, Sun Louis ground, runway 29er, taxi at Alpha.
29er via Alpha, 4963 golf, thank you.
Achieving 7 X-ray, contact Baker, slow approach 118.8.
So I see southeast ramp. She must have said southeast ramp. North ramp. She must have said southeast. That's what we're going for. We're supposed to be at 1,000 here. Alright, we got about a mile to go for UCI.
Bakersfield approach, good morning, TBN 7 X-ray 17000, descending 140.
7 X-ray, Bakersfield approach, altimeter 3035. Turn left heading 260, just gonna maintain 4000.
Left heading 260 and down to 4000, 7 X-ray.
John.
5 Whiskey Tango, have you in sight. Landing will be at your own risk. Use caution and proceed towards the east ramp south hangars.
Landing at own risk, proceed to the southeast hangars, east ramp, 935 Whiskey Tango.
There's 7 X-ray, do you have approach request?
7 X-ray with like the ILS, vector to the ILS 30 right, please.
There's 7 X-ray, expect that.
A bunch of altitude here because we gained a bunch of altitude. Get ourselves slowed way back there. And we're gonna keep coming down. forward and down. And we'll hold here.
Bezels Tower, Skyhawk 496 calls, hold short runway 29er, we'd like a left crosswind departure this evening.
463 Golf, Bezels Tower, on course approved, runway 29er, close for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 29er, 496 golf, thank you.
There's 7 X-ray, turn right, heading 010.
Right turn 010.
John Wayne Tower, 935 Whiskey Tango is at the southeast run-up area. I'd like to hover taxi for parking. I hope this is where she wanted us to
5
go.
Whiskey Tango. When you're approved to land at the ramp, you cannot enter the movement area without authorization. Are you wanting to depart again, or are you looking for taxi to link?
I was looking at taxi to parking. I probably should have just requested a runway from you originally. I'm not familiar.
Right, Air 5 Whiskey Tango, roger. Hover taxi via Alpha to parking.
Hover taxi via Alpha to parking. Thanks again.
Air 7 X-ray, turn right, heading 050.
Via Alpha to parking.
050.
So where did she want me to go?
Bezels Tower, Skyhawk
Ramp.
496 golf, has a rough running engine, we'd like to return to your field immediately.
063 Golf, roger. You want to join the pattern, or you just need to make a 180 to land a 1-1?
Yeah, I don't know. I should have just...
1-1 if that's all right.
So if this was real life, obviously, if she wanted me to do something like that.
Clear to land, wind calm.
Alright, so she told me to hover
1-1
taxi
clear to
down
land,
Alpha.
496 for golf.
We're looking for fuel. If this was real life, I would have requested a
maintain 3,000.
runway, because we're clearly not familiar with airport operations here. This isn't exactly a hover taxi, more like an air taxi. Alright, so it says this is the FBO. I'm looking for fuel. But I'm not seeing fuel. So I think we're just going to park here. This says it's transient parking. Alright, we'll call it good here. Go for the white line here. Come on, white line. We want the white line directly down the center of the cockpit. Yeah, close enough. Alright, collective's all the way down. Could roll the throttle back to idle.
And San Luis Tower 496 for golf, clear.
I don't have the checklist for this aircraft.
We're going to go ahead and disconnect.
Roger.
And I'm going to switch over to ground. 1208.
Brownfield Grounds, November 5 Romeo Alpha is that first flight. Right taxi for a right downwind departure with Sierra.
Your 7 X-ray radar contact lost. The 5-1 Romeo Alpha. Final ground runway 26 right, taxi via Golf Delta.
Golf.
John Wayne Ground, helicopter 935 Whiskey Tango.
935 Whiskey Tango, John Wayne Ground.
Quick question. I'm wondering if I'm running information Zulu, am I not going to hear the ATIS information over the network?
Number 5 Whiskey Tango, that is correct.
Roger, thanks. All right, and we confirmed that, so that's great. Great to know in the future that we won't be troubleshooting something that's programmed to operate that way. Okay, so yeah, this flight was awesome. This helicopter, I love flying this helicopter. It's the developer did an awesome job. I love the flight mechanics in the simulator. I think it's modeled wonderfully. The touchscreen displays mean I can operate a helicopter and make all of my radio calls over the network when things get hectic, when I'm fat fingering the radio, when I'm trying to deal with terrain, and you know the helicopter's hard enough to control. I can't imagine trying to do that while using the mouse to pan around the cockpit and try to tune in a radio frequency. So to me, the only way to fly these helicopters on the Pilot Edge network is really to have either a touchscreen panel or like the Logitech radios or that sort of a thing. So I don't want to be shelling out the money for the Logitech radios and that sort of thing because I prefer flying glass screens. I flew glass screen Blackhawks in real life. I fly in a flying club that has a single Dynon HDX glass screen, so I don't want to be moving backwards and flying a steam gauge cockpit in the flight simulator. So love this aircraft. I'm going to keep flying this aircraft and mixing it in with the Sting S4 that I fly, the light sport airplane, the other aircraft I fly a bunch in the simulator. And I hope you guys enjoyed the different scenes that I had set up. I hope it gives a little more insight into what's going on in the cockpit so that when I'm playing with the radios, you can see what I'm tuning in a little more zoomed in. When I'm working with the chart, you can see what I'm looking at a little more zoomed in. And when I'm hovering and doing fine-tuned control touch stuff, you can see what I'm doing on the controls. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And we'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.